welcome to the Cryptonaut Podcast. I am Mark Storrs. With me, as always, is
Rob Morphy.
Oh shit, Rob, what's going on?
Not a hell of a lot. What's up with you, buddy? How you feeling?
Good. I'm on the mend. I'm back. I went back to work this week. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm feeling better. It's good to get back into my old man routine of going to bed at 9:30 and getting up at 4 o'clock. So yeah, I'm doing awesome. I like it. It's good to be back. Just to let everyone know, Christopher is he's still doing good.
Here.
He's just healing up, doing his thing. Hopefully, he's going to be back here at some point. And my little brother Dave, he also too is he's hanging out there in Rochester at the Wilmot Center, recovering from his bone marrow transplant, still doing awesome. Just as a reminder, cancertiger.com, we still have that GoFundMe happening. So thank you to everyone that's contributing over there. It's helping with his recovery greatly. And yeah, there's all of our updates for the pod. So as always, patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. $1 is a shout out. $5 is a shout out in the bonus audio. Both of those get you access to the Discord. So be sure to check that out if you're on there. And Bobby, let's do some shout outs.
Fuck yeah, let's do that. We're going to start off with Anna Lanners.
Hell yeah, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Kira.
Yeah, Kira. What up?
Mothman 666.
Oh, the number of the beast, but it's the Mothman. Sweet. I love it.
I'm a fucking big fan of this. Rabba. Rob is Sofa King. Awesome. Thank you. You just made my evening.
So is that one that went over our heads, kind of like Alpha Cure Mother?
No, we got that one. Yeah. Oh God. Yep. And you know what? Again, speaking for Mama Morphy, who just narrowly missed a Mothman encounter. I'm sure a solid dicking would do her right. So, just be kind. It's my mom. Bring some flowers. Maybe some White Castle. It doesn't have to be pricey, but be classy about it. Thank you. It's my mom.
I'm going to take my mother and Chris's mother off the table for this. So.
That's fair.
So, thank you.
I'm just speaking for Mama Morphy here. Hey, it's 2021. It's time for a new day, and everyone needs a lover. So, thank you, Sofa King. Corey Galvin.
Hell yeah, Corey. Thank you so much.
Boyfoot, or is it Biofoot? I think it's Biofoot 78.
Yeah, Biofoot 78. I dig it.
Jim G FM.
Oh, my favorite station, Jim G.
Oh, hell yeah. Jim G on your FM dial.
Totally.
Austin Harrison.
Hell yeah, Austin.
That's an austere name. Totally. Christopher Rumble.
Nice, Mr. Rumble. Thank you so much.
And let's round it up with Angie Froke.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, Angie. Thank you to all for your continued Patreon contributions. We appreciate it very much. Without you guys, I don't know what the fuck we'd be doing. So
yeah, true that.
So
thank you all forever and for real for all the things you've been helping with, Dave and everybody else, for all the goodwill for Chris and everything, and just for helping to support us. Honestly, we thank you every week, but we can't thank you enough. So seriously, You're the fucking best.
Definitely. Also, too, I have had some messages from people having issues accessing back catalog episodes on Patreon. Just shoot me a message. I will send you the link. It will fix everything for you. Nothing major, real tiny. But if you need Cryptonaut tech support, guess what? Mark's your guy.
He is.
Hit me up. Send me a message. We'll get you straightened out. Get you listening to all those episodes. So moving on here with the show, we've not done one of these in a long time, but welcome to Mystery Bag Monday.
Oh, the best. My fave.
Yes. So, do we have a theme, Robert? I think we do.
I always keep promising, master of grammar here. You're welcome. This is your fucking resident writer. I always keep promising that we don't need a theme, yet I keep delivering. And this week's theme takes me back to my misspent youth in the early 80s, I think 1983, with a little series called Manimal. Now, unfortunately, Chris isn't here to confirm the shit, but that was a show about a dude, some handsome British dude that I'm sure wanted to play James Bond, but instead got to play a rando that got to turn into like a fucking hawk and a panther and I don't know, maybe a red snapper or a cod or something. I'm not sure, something aquatic. And either way, though this has nothing to do with what we're about to do, this week's theme is Manimals.
Man animals. I like it. Fucking hey, there you go. I mean, what's more cryptozoological than that, right?
Well, I mean, it is the narcissistic view of it. It is the Isle of Dr. Moreau, that idea that the coolest cryptids, even though I don't necessarily, in fact, none of us feel that way. The coolest cryptids for us are far and away the most batshit crazy. But for a lot of people, the Bigfoot, the things that are almost human, but not quite, the animalistic yet still almost as intelligent and bipedal and semi-humanoid, that's the one that seems to capture the grand imagination. So for a lot of people, this might be very, very awesome. And as far as I'm concerned, the two that I've picked for this week are pretty fucking dope. But yeah, this is something that seems to fall between the animal kingdom, which of course the human race is a part of. I'm not that fucking arrogant. I know we're nothing but shittily clawed, poorly toothed predators that are smart enough to bludgeon things to death through our poisons and fucking pollutants and, our general fucking conceit. But that having been said, Manimals.
Don't forget our Twitter.
Yeah, don't forget the way we really end the world. Twitter.
Exactly.
Yeah, social media, our greatest contribution to the zeitgeist of intelligentsia.
Yes.
You know who cries the most? Blue whales. Because they're the smartest. They've got the biggest brains. They're like, 3 Mile Island wasn't enough. You had the Love Canal. You were fucking up with Chernobyl. And then came Facebook. Fuck asses. Oh, I hate you. That's what the blue whale says to it. That's the song of the blue whale. I hate you so much, you motherfucking stupid people. If you could translate it and they could sing better than me, which they all can, that's what it would sound like.
Well, thankfully they're on Instagram and not Twitter. But this week, let's get started with Alien Apeman. This brief yet harrowing encounter between an American teen and this ostensibly extraterrestrial entity has many of the earmarks of a prototypical Bigfoot sighting, save for a few key attributes, which make this case one of the most perplexing accounts to flow down the Pacific Northwest crypto-pike in decades. We're talking
the old
Alien
crypto-pike. The salmon go up, the cryptids flow down. That's how it always works. In the wee hours of the morning, sometime in 1965, an unnamed male teenager was enjoying a peaceful evening alone in the home that he shared with his mother and stepfather, not far from the allegedly Sasquatch-infested region of Madras, Oregon, when he was suddenly startled by a cacophonous din emanating from outside of his house. And I think we all know that feeling as teens. I'm not going to digress too much, where the parents are gone. I don't know about you, but my dad was a complete TV Nazi. And even though, from a certain age, like in high school, I had my own bedroom TV. Before then, you sort of had to do UN negotiations to watch some shit like Creepshow was on HBO. And you're like, please, Dad, I need to see this stuff. He's like, but there's the 47th baseball game I've watched this week on, and I'm going to watch this. And I'm like, oh, but Father, oh, exalted one, Savior, please allow me to watch George A. Romero's latest magnum opus. And so it was a huge fucking to-do. So at least right out the gate, I'm identifying with this kid from 1965 when they only had one TV in the house and 2.5 fucking channels, because one was static filled, to be sure. And so he was probably making the most of it, watching the Smothers Brothers or whatever the fuck was going on back then.
I mean, I wish I could sympathize with your situation, I guess.
You grew up rich, didn't you? With your own fancy ass TV.
We had a big TV. We had HBO, fucking 47 Nintendos. My dad was super cool. We watched it together all the time. It was great.
Oh, well, fuck you, Mark.
Sorry, Rob.
From the bottom of my heart.
Continue on.
So he didn't actually report this as unnamed teen until June of 2002, when he stated, "When I was a teenager living in Oregon, I had a scary experience that I will never forget about. My mom and stepdad went out. I heard a strange noise outside." This is the setup.
Terror.
There it is. You should have been on the old-timey radio.
There you go.
Frightened by the racket, yet infused with the bravado of youth, the teen lunged up and looked out the window to see what he later described as, quote, a UFO coming down. He said, "I saw strange lights outside on the ground," end quote. The youth quickly realized that the unsettling sounds were emanating from the vividly illuminated UFO. But while he was staring at the raucous light show outside, this already disconcerting incident would take a turn toward the terrifying when he heard yet another, altogether more ominous noise coming from the open front door behind him.
Oh, boy.
The teen shot a glance over his shoulder to see the looming silhouette of a massive, ferocious featured gorilla-like figure filling the doorframe. Big old Bigfoot, it looks like so far. This hulking brute silently stared at the isolated, unarmed, and almost certainly petrified youth for what must have felt like an eternity. The young man would go on to describe the traumatic incident, stating, quote, "I saw an alien creature standing outside the front door looking at me. It had the face of an ape and a chain across its chest area."
It's got chest armor?
It's got it's got something akin to it.
Yeah. Dude, like fucking Skeletor. It's got like battle armor.
Oh, no, I mean, it's not like chain mail. It's like full on like crisscrossing chains. As if it was somehow like being subdued maybe and no longer is.
No, it could be fashion.
It could be you can never,
Yeah.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood, buddy.
There you go. Vernon G. Wells, what up?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, chains for life.
While many folks living in the Pacific Northwest are no strangers to encounters with anomalous ape-like animals, very rarely are these hairy hominids associated with flying saucers, and almost never are these creatures described as being adorned with anything in the way of clothing, chains, or other accoutrements. The fact that this bondage-geared gorilla appeared in conjunction with the landing of a UFO makes it impossible to consider the incident separately, which is to say, there could have been a random fetishistic Bigfoot that was doing its thing with a safe word with its lady Bigfoot that happened to be in the backyard, and it was going to say, "Oh, possum," if things got a little too hectic. Then the UFO came down and he's like, "Oh, fuck, what's going on?" And his girlfriend ran back into the woods and he knew there was a kid in the house and he was like trying to get in like, "Dude, there's a UFO outside and I'm fucking freaked." So it could have been that.
Don't mind my weird change in assless chaps.
Yeah, no, don't. Yeah, my assless chaps, as all chaps are.
It's all chaps.
Because all chaps were born assless. That is the creed.
You don't. I mean, if your chaps have it an ass in them, it's just pants.
Yeah, they're pants. Exactly. You have not purchased chaps, my friend.
You have not. No.
So it's that, right. Or this thing
separate.
Really does have something to do with the UFO, which
right.
I mean, maybe it's just the humans' perennial desire, and by the humans, I mean you and I, to make some sort of connection between seemingly unrelated events. But I can't help but think that the bechained gorilla knocking on kid's door has something to do with the fucking super loud, assholishly noisy UFO that's landing in his fucking backyard.
Yeah, I think we kind of have to marry the two together in a matrimony of fucking gorilla UFO, whatever it is. You kind of have to. It's there. I mean, it clearly came from it. So
I mean, if it's not the pilot, it's at least a passenger. And if it's not the passenger, then maybe it's a slave or some sort of prisoner that managed to escape while it crashed. All right, we're going to get into that later. I have a whole fictional account to deal with that.
Oh, okay, good. Perfect. We love fictional accounts.
This simian space invader then vanished as swiftly as it appeared, no doubt leaving the baffled teen to wonder what the heck just happened and whether or not it was coming back. After what must have been a sleepless night, the young man mustered up the courage to go outside and inspect his yard the following morning. He claimed to have discovered a, quote, impression in the ground where the UFO landed, end quote. Unfortunately, if any photos or sketches were made at the scene, they have been lost to time. As odd as this alien ape-man occurrence may seem, there are scores of cases, particularly from Pennsylvania, and I'm not just talking about the Westmoreland wild man, which we just recently dealt with, I think last week or 2 weeks ago or however many weeks ago, but also other things that Stan Gordon and his cohorts have chronicled. There's a lot, especially in Pennsylvania, of Bigfoot UFO-related things that we'll eventually get to, but it is still a fairly rare thing.
Right.
But that having been said, there are still scores of cases establishing some sort of at least tenuous connection between Sasquatch and the UFO phenomenon. Some have suggested that the extraterrestrials might utilize Bigfoot-like beasts in everything from search and rescue to scouting and resource missions. So like they're like the St. Bernards with the little keg around their neck trying to find half-frozen alien ski victims, to, could be. Maybe just seeing good invasion routes or just maybe finding nice places in the woods, maybe building underground bunkers. I don't want to think of them as slave labor. So I don't want to indict aliens as fucking like Nazi overlords or anything, because who the fuck knows what the relationship may be, but who the fuck knows how they're being utilized, if indeed they're being utilized.
I mean, the Empire did use Wookiees as slaves, so we have that comparison, but that is a movie by George Lucas, so...
Others surmise that these colossal ape-like entities are the aliens' beloved pets. We've discussed this theory before. And that the Earth serves as a sort of colossal interplanetary pet park wherein these creatures can walk, feed, bathe, breed, frolic, and of course, eliminate waste so as not to sully the saucer during the long interstellar cruise back home.
Yeah, don't let the ape shit in the UFO.
No,
fuck it all. It's gonna fuck it all up.
And plus,
Jesus.
I don't know what they breathe, but whatever gas it is, assuming it is a gas, it's got to recycle through the fucking ship, because there's nothing in the vacuum of space. So no matter how fast they go or how quick that wormhole is, if you have somebody shitting in the corner, a giant ape shit in the corner, that shit's going to fuck up it's going to be a hard ride, and you don't want it. So you bring them to Earth, you let them shit, you let them eat, you let them fucking wash their anus out in a local creek, let a hunter see them and fucking freak out and fucking be labeled a lunatic. And then you fucking go home where you can just groom them on your fucking super alien couch and do whatever the fuck you're going to do.
That is Bigfoot. There you go.
While you argue with your alien dad about what you can watch on TV, because that is a universal, sir.
Unless you're Mark and
unless you're born
no
wealthy
problem.
with your 11 Nintendos in every room, Mark stores. Amen. You fuck.
There you go.
I love my dad, by the way. He was a saint, but boy, he was the TV Führer. There's no doubt about it.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Still others believe that these two equally enthralling phenomena have nothing to do with one another. They hypothesize that Bigfoot is just as indigenous to good old Mother Earth as her human cousins, and when UFOs show up, these astonishingly bright animals are just as curious and perplexed as we regarding the aliens' origins and intentions, which gets back to the submissive fucking Bigfoot pounding on the door of the unnamed teen like, the fuck, dude? Listen, I know I'm weird. I know you're weird, but this shit is fucked.
But this is super fucked up. Help. For the love of God. I'm scared.
It's weird.
Jesus.
Being, and here's where I indulge, and this is where Bobby Keel comes back.
No. The return of Bobby Keel.
A fanatic for both sci-fi movies and comic books, I can't help but to secretly wish that this likely extraterrestrial visitor was in reality an intergalactic quasi-simian criminal mastermind, kind of like a synthesis between Gorilla Grodd and Hannibal Lecter, whose interplanetary prison barge accidentally crash-landed on Earth, breaking his ultra-titanium space chains, thus unleashing this otherworldly villain on our unsuspecting world until, of course, a pair of alien bounty hunters, a hotshot rookie and grizzled one-eyed space veteran of the Cyborg v Space Brain Wars on Cygnus CX-36, of course, with an astonishing array of futuristic weapons, plummet down to save this pale blue orb and retrieve the psychotic uber ape, dead or alive. Just a theory. I'm not saying I have evidence to back that one up. I'm not saying that it bears out or the kids suggested this is what happened. I'm just saying, in lieu of further knowledge, this may be what happened.
Okay, so when that appears on one of those crypto Wikipedia sites that just like steals all your work, I want you to remember this, okay? I want you to remember your spin on this story, because it probably will. And that is a great story. I mean, I would love to see that cinematically come to fruition. I think it would be fucking dope. And
fuck yeah.
Yeah,
but of course,
I'm all
the kid
about
would have to get wrapped into it. Like he's just an unsuspecting teen who didn't expect.
He's got to like do some super heroic shit, and then the guy's like, "I'm too old for this."
Let me acknowledge all the things I'm ripping off. Besides, obviously, Lethal Weapon, where it is the "I'm too old for this shit" and the fucking non-anti-Semitic but fucking crazed younger partner. In this case, fucking this is still Critters too. This is the two leather-clad bounty hunters and Scott Grimes. Yes. So let's not pretend that I'm pulling this shit out of my ass. Of course, I'm a product of the pop culture that made me just as much as every other artist. So, so let's pay respect where respect is due. But still, I could watch this.
Yeah. So, one thing I think that during the Westmoreland, I think you and I talked about this during the week, that we totally forgot to bring up, that maybe that was just an alien and that was a spaceship.
How the fuck did we forget that?
I mean, we may have said it in passing, but I think that I went off on the interdimensional tip a little bit too long and got a little bit nuts with it.
That's why we need
so kind of
Chris.
like this.
Chris would have been like, "What about fucking aliens, you jackasses?" And I would have been like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah, but so I think like this. Okay, if this ape was, piloting this ship for whatever reason. I mean, I'm sure there are multiple species of aliens, if they are visiting us, that could be coming to see us. And this just happens to be, I guess, the big gorilla type, Bigfoot type. And there it is, which cinematically is not as cool. I think what's kind of interesting is that the kid's just there and it shows up and there's nothing. It's there. It's like, what's up? It doesn't even say what's up. It just stands there and then it disappears.
It does nothing. So if it's from the UFO, what the fuck? I mean, here's the thing. This is why it had to be part of a Mystery Bag Monday, because it's too cool to ignore, yet too insubstantial to do anything fucking with. Like, it is in itself a fascinating case in that you're a kid, you're alone, it's scary. You hear this racket, you look outside, spinning lights, mayhem, a UFO's landing. Suddenly you hear this, I don't know if it's a low growl or a squeak in the door frame. I don't know what the sound was because I don't think it's even described. But you turn over your shoulder and then it's this looming, chain-clad gorilla man. And so that in and of itself is fucking fascinating. But then that's it. He doesn't even talk. Like, it disappeared in a flash or it ran off the porch back to the UFO. We get fucking nothing. No, so that's kind of why we're forced to fill in the gaps. But still, the fact that this happens in Madras, Oregon, and of course that's prime Sasquatch territory. Well, everything in the Pacific Northwest, to my northeastern mind, is prime Sasquatch territory. So I'm just going to include it. But that having been said, you can't help but to make these connections. And again, I don't know if I'm helping or hurting by striving to do these. Now, not the random sci-fi fun time connections like we've been talking about, but just the idea that a man ape is essentially a fucking Bigfoot. One that fills a door frame is about the size of a Bigfoot. If this thing is there, the chains are the one thing, the chains in the UFO, which of course it's at least tacitly associated with, if only by time and geography, if nothing else. You can't help but think to yourself, well, what the fuck? Why this? Why at that moment? What happened? This is where you want follow-ups. What happened to the UFO? I mean, yeah, he went out the next day and found traces, but did it take off? Did he pass out? And then that implies missing time. And then he wakes up 7 hours later when his parents come home and he's like, oh, I thought I had a dream, but then the lawn is flat. We just don't know. And because it's an anonymous report, there's no way anyone can really follow up except for the initial person that took the report. And then that's when you sort of want to, backhand them and go, motherfucker, ask 3 questions, not just UFO Bigfoot where you live, but did it take off? What happened? Even if you have to protect the anonymity, I get that. Protect the witnesses at all costs. We do that, but fucking ask some goddamn follow-up questions.
Now, to play Chris here, if this was 2 separate incidences, let's say that a UFO happened to come over and a Bigfoot was in the area, much like the Westmoreland wild man who quite possibly just picked up a flashlight and was like, oh, look what I got. What's not saying this Bigfoot didn't just happen to pick up a chain and be like, ooh, accoutrement, and slap it on or just have it over his shoulder for all we know. I mean, if it's one chain, in my mind, of course, it's like 2 sweet cross chains.
Of course,
something in the middle.
We all see it that way.
It could have literally just been like
something dangling over his shoulder.
Yeah, like like a chain that you would use to pull like your truck out of something or pull something with your truck. So just like a tow chain. Just
it could have been some shit he found in the woods and slapped over his shoulder.
Like, this is my jam now. This is who I am. Accept me. Hello. And then he just showed up. That's why he was there. He's like, look it, I've introduced myself to the aliens. They're fucking cool. Are you going to be cool? And then the kid, whatever. And he's like, no, this kid's not cool. And he was jetted. So,
could it be that bad? Could this just be an indictment of the human race via this one anonymous teenager where it's like, I found a chain. I think I look awesome. The aliens agree. It's time for the human race to know me for me.
Yeah, and then
Billy Bob Bigfoot, not your little fucking like Patterson Gimlin fucking lurker, a real person with a real fashion statement to make. Oh, you're just gonna scream and tear and scurry in a corner? Fuck you guys. I'm going back with the aliens. And thus the relationship between the human race and the Bigfoot race has fucking floundered ever since.
it has suffered ever since. So there it is, the alien ape man. Definitely interesting, and that's just a part of our part of the collection. That hopefully we're gonna have more stories of these Bigfoot and UFO connections coming together. So yeah,
I still can't help but to imagine, though, that he is completely clad in chains the way, say, a early 80s He-Man ancillary character would have been. Like
totally,
Gorilla Man or whatever. I mean, they had the Moss Man. They were awesome figures, but they had the most generic names.
Dude, Stinkor. Come on, man.
There you go.
Stinkor. Yeah, exactly.
So the way those
Skeletor and his buddy Stinkor
artists would have dappled a Gorilla Man in chains and little pieces of armor and maybe a club, a mace with studs. Who knows what they would have given him. That's how I choose to envision this thing, not just a rando Bigfoot with like you say, a toe chain slapped over his shoulder. But of course, that's me wishing hard.
That's what we do here on the Cryptonaut podcast. All right, moving on to the humanoid elephant of Narrabeen. Australia has long been known for its unique fauna, both known and unknown. But there are few beasts bizarre enough to rival that of the bipedal elephantine entity that managed to strike terror in the hearts of local motorists, fishermen, and children of New South Wales. A creature that some feel may be cryptid, others believe to be of unearthly origin, and still others are convinced may be of diabolical lineage.
Satanic, my friend.
Elephant-like creatures. I love it. I love
the devil's elephant. Why did change the name right now?
Devil's elephant. Boom. Nailed it.
Done. Except not really, but still. I do love this thing because it is a fucking elephant humanoid. I mean, come on. Right out the gate. That's fucking brilliant.
Dude, He-Man, Trunkor. There you go.
Oh my God, it is. All we're doing is it shouldn't have been about Manimal. I shouldn't have invoked the 83 series. I should have invoked He-Man from word go, because that's really what it is. Is Trunkor a real fucking He-Man character?
Yeah, totally. He's a big like metal elephant.
I thought you were just making that shit up. It would have been great.
No, of course. It's Trunko. So,
Trunkor.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Trunko is different.
It takes 32 ox to move a Trunko. It probably takes only like maybe 26 to move a Trunkor. It's a key difference, but minor.
Nice.
Situated in the state of New South Wales is a relatively small, saline-rich body of water known as Narrabeen Lagoon. The largest of three rainforest-shrouded estuaries located within a 9-mile stretch of coast along Sydney's northern beach. Narrabeen's murky depths are the alleged home of a massive eel-like monstrosity, which we will not be dealing with today, and even more intriguingly, one utterly bizarre and as yet unclassified semi-aquatic enigma which witnesses claim resembles a diminutive, earless, elephantine humanoid.
No.
Savor that. The first reported sighting of this curious critter occurred at 1:15 p.m. on April 3rd, 1968. On the afternoon in question, Mabel Walsh, a 50-year-old mother of 6, was driving her nephew John to the airport in Newport. The pair was cruising at about 45 miles per hour along the Wakehurst Parkway along Narrabeen Lagoon when they both spied a peculiar pachyderm-like thing wading in the shallow waters of the brackish lake. Mabel would go on to describe the eccentric entity that she and her nephew witnessed. Quote, "It was a bit over 4 feet tall, with dark gray, tough, leathery skin, like an elephant's. It had small front legs and walked on its hind legs, which were thick and round like an elephant's. I didn't notice a tail or ears, but it had small eyes and smaller front legs or arms. Its head reminded me of an anteater's. Its trunk was rigid, squared off at the end, and stuck down and out at an angle." So that's a really interesting picture. And I get that kind of blocky anteater snout, which is not really like an elephant's trunk. It's a much more solid but still extensive proboscis. But that having been said, I don't know of any anteaters that ever, for any reason, walk on its hind legs. Like maybe one will scurry up a large anthill in South America or Africa with its, super clawed forelegs, but not walk in a body of water on its hind legs. It's a really unique thing. Mabel slowed her vehicle to a halt to get a better look at the elephantine entity when the utterly unexpected happened, in her own words, quote, "It came out of the water, stood up on its legs, and headed off into the brush in a fast, shambling, sideways run." Can you imagine that?
I can't run.
The little side chip, like the putting on the Ritz, like young Frankenstein or something.
It's like, oh no, they found me. I can't
but
run.
I'm going to look stylish doing it.
Damn these legs. It just does a weird sideways gait out of there.
It ambled out of the lake and ran into the scrub. It had a strange, shuffling walk, but it was quite fast. It shocked me. It was a peculiar looking thing. I've never seen anything like it. We saw it for only a few seconds. Unfortunately, due to the fact that John was in danger of missing his flight, Mabel and her nephew could not take the time required to search for the anomalous animal. Mabel reported, quote, "I stopped the car, but had to wait for traffic to pass before I could back up, but the thing had gone. We were in a hurry. I had to get John to the airport. I didn't have time to call anyone and check on it." I don't know who she would call. Maybe she had some friends in the area. I don't know.
Yeah, or even like the police or like the military, you know.
I don't
like,
know if you
hey,
call
we
the
got a
army
thing.
for that one, but the police I could see.
Call everybody. Fuck it. Who
Why not?
cares?
I mean, it worked
Let
in
everyone
Monster
know.
Squad. That kid called the fucking the army on the mummy, and
National
that shit
Guard, yeah,
happened.
there you go. Called the army on the mummy.
If you're a Monster Squad fan, you know.
You know, exactly. Wolfman has nards. That's what's up.
As brief as the encounter may have been, it made a tremendous mark on Mabel, who, according to an extract published on April 6th, 1968, in that edition of the Daily Telegraph, was planning on returning to the site located just below the hillside suburb of Eleonora Heights in the company of her husband, son, and unnamed friends in order to catch a second glimpse of the bizarre beast. If this impromptu posse was lucky enough to have had a second sighting, it went unrecorded. But as intriguing as Mabel and John's interlude with the unknown was, theirs would not be the last reported encounter with the vexatious varmint. The next incident associated with this creature, or creatures as the case may be, occurred just 3 years later, sometime in April of 1971, and would involve two new eyewitnesses. The onlookers in question were a pair of anonymous anglers who were engaged in some night fishing from a boat on Narrabeen Lagoon. The men later claimed that while trawling, they had caught a glimpse of quote-unquote something wading through the shallows in the flickering light of their kerosene lamp. When one of the anglers raised the lamp for a better look, the two fishermen were astonished to see a rotund, gray-skinned brute bearing, quote, "a trunk like an elephant," end quote. Much like Mabel and John before them, the duo were dumbfounded when the creature reared up on its stocky hind legs and sloshed through the dark waters, unexpectedly employing an awkward form of bipedal locomotion to make its escape.
Oh, did it do the side shuffle?
It
The
did,
curly shuffle?
I can only assume. I hope it just, it's like that fucking, what's that frog from the old Warner Brothers? Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Just fucking getting the fuck out of Dodge. Later that same evening, an unnamed woman who lived nearby claimed that she was woken by a, quote, terrible gurgling noise, end quote, which the local Nichols children, Grant 11, Natalie 9, and Shane 12, insisted must have been the beast itself. I love this. This woman hears a gurgling noise, and the kids are like, "It's the elephant, man. Yeah, it's just, listen, trust me, lady. I know. We know. The fishermen know. Mabel sure as fuck knows. And that's how 12-year-old kids talk in fucking Australia. Listen."
It could have been anything, but they're like, nope, it's the elephant man. There you go.
You think it's your septic tank, huh? That's a good guess.
Yeah.
Good guess.
Yeah.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
It's an elephant man.
And those kids are smart enough to know that it's not actually trunk ore, it's snout spout.
Oh,
just for all you He-Man folks out there. Yeah, it's snout spout.
All right, first off, Trunkor is a much cooler name. Hold it. Save it for life, because if that wasn't the real name, then the He-Man people fucked up.
Well, Snout Spout's there, and his figure was dope. So.
All right, his figure was dope, but Trunkor would have been a much better name.
It's true.
All right, so... All right, so Grant, Natalie, and Shane were sure it was the monster. The kids dutifully reported this and the angler's account to their neighbor and local newspaper reporter, Frank O'Neill.
Getting the media involved too soon, not good.
Well, when
This is how
old
the
man
Mothman
O'Neill, who
started.
lives down the street and is like pretty cool with the big giant candy bars on Halloween, is around, you're going to fucking feed him the scoop. That's what kids do.
This is how a monster posse starts.
O'Neill went on to pen, with tongue firmly in cheek, an account of the neighborhood children attempting to warn him of the potential dangers of the Narrabeen creature under the headline, quote, "And now it's the monster of Narrabeen," end quote. After which he made an unnecessary, though evidently obligatory, reference to the Loch Ness monster.
Really?
It's as trite to me. Every time someone sees a UFO, it's Colombia's Roswell, it's Britain's Roswell, it's Russia's Roswell. I get so sick of it, and I feel the exact same way about any time any cryptid is seen near a fucking puddle. It doesn't have to be a river. It doesn't have to be a lake. It doesn't have to be an estuary. If it's if it's after a rainstorm and fucking a Bigfoot steps in a puddle, it is, the Pacific Northwest Nessie, bipedal and hairy. It's ridiculous, but that's what fucking lazy reporters do, and that's the deal. Nothing we can do.
God. Yeah, it is what it is.
Despite O'Neill's evident unwillingness to even consider the potential plausibility of a bipedal elephant-like animal roaming the scrub brush surrounding the nearby lagoon, others, like UFO researcher Bill Chalker, were prepared to take the sightings seriously. During the late 1970s, Chalker investigated the 1968 and 1971 incidents. While his examinations would ultimately prove fruitless, he did consider a connection between the beasts and the ancient Hindu texts. In his words, quote, "I spent a number of evenings loitering around the Narrabeen Lake's environs, checking out the areas involved in these stories. Unfortunately, no elephant humanoids were seen, and I was not able to determine any substance to a prosaic elephant quote-unquote connection." He added, "It is interesting that humanoid elephant-headed beings are a major feature of Indian religious mythology, namely Ganesha." I think we all know that. Whether or not Chalker actually subscribed to the belief that the semi-elephantine being was an earthly incarnation of the Hindu deity is not known. But in an intriguing ancillary note, Ganesh is not the only elephant-headed deity from antiquity. Some intriguing illustrations of similar beings can be seen in the Iranian-born, and I will apologize in advance for massacring this name, Zechariah Mohammed al-Qizwini's, quote, "marvel of things created and miraculous aspects of things existing," end quote, which was originally published in 1283.
Sounds like an amazing book.
It really does. And the pictures from it, you can find a lot online, are astonishing. The folio was reprinted in the 17th century in Mughal India, and illustrations depict all kinds of ethereal entities, but one of the most interesting is the so-called, quote, "elephant-headed demon," end quote, which is described as a form of jinn. While reporters scoff and cryptozoologists scratch their heads perplexed as to how a relatively large bipedal animal could have managed to survive unseen, or at least unreported, until 1968, those of a more paranormal perspective are inclined to believe that the so-called monster of Narrabeen has a paranatural pedigree that might help to explain its evident elusivity. Another theory, of course, especially because there's nothing in the fossil record anywhere to indicate bipedal elephants, is that they might be of extraterrestrial origin, though, as far as I know, no UFOs or any other thing like involved with the Apeman were seen around it. But those people think that it might have just been a visiting ET. And while I would like to imagine a race of humanoid space elephants, kind of like Jabba the Hutt's ill-fated keyboard player, Max Rebo, wandering around Australia, the fact is that shit's probably not likely, but I suppose it's more likely than it being part of the natural fauna of Narrabeen, because this is one of those fucking fascinating and haunting things that it's a lie. It's a lie told multiple times. It's a lie told without any apparent reward to be reaped from it. Or it's a misidentification that leads to another group of misidentifications, which is more likely, or right, it really happened, and then you have to put it in its place. And because there's nothing in the fossil record that would at all allow for this to be a real thing, then you have two choices. It is either a Max Rebo-esque extraterrestrial fucking sidestepping its way through the briny salts of fucking Narrabeen Lagoon, or it's something paranatural, like the djinn, like whatever, making itself manifest, but doing so in a weird animalistic way. Like it seems to be foraging. When Mabel and John see it, Johnny, whatever his name is, it seems to like be hunkering down, snuffling through the seagrass, whatever, munching on fucking shrimp or whatever the fuck it's doing. And then looks and like, oh, someone's looking at me. It's shuffle. Same with the fisherman. And you got to wonder why a paranormal entity would need to do that.
Yeah.
A hungry, I don't know. I have no idea. The one thing I can say for sure in my mind is that it is definitely not indigenous fauna to the shores of Sydney, Australia.
No, I would be more inclined to think that maybe it was something that's misidentified. I mean, I don't know much about anything animalistic.
So a big-nosed
or
yowie
Australia?
with mange or something?
I mean, if it could be some sort of misidentified animal that is actually local to the area, that whatever, it's seen foraging and people are just mistaking it for something else, but they kind of got a pretty spot on description of what it is. I mean, she went as far as to say in the first sighting that the front legs were shorter, more like arms.
Right.
So that would make me assume that it is bipedal because it doesn't have the same arm, like same length arms and legs.
Well, here's the weird thing. Let's just take it at face value, taking multiple hoaxes off the table just for shits and giggles. Obviously, that could be a factor, though. I don't know what Mabel had to gain by it. But just taking it off the table for now, what kind of creature, like there's lots of creatures that might forage on hind legs, but then when it wants to get out of fucking, the view of a predator or something that it perceives as dangerous, like a human being quickly, it goes down and becomes quadrupedal really quick, be it a chimp, be it whatever, and it shuffles the fuck into the woods really quick. Something that is going quadrupedal to forage or whatever it was doing in the water, and then when it's spotted, goes bipedal to get away quicker. That's a whole different breed of cat. Literally and figuratively.
That is kind of weird.
It's like, human beings and a handful of other things go two-legged to go fast. Most creatures, most animals don't do that.
No. I mean, the djinn aspect is interesting. But again, they just show up to look for food and hang out in watering holes?
Well, I don't I'm not an expert on djinn by any means, or angels or any.
I mean, they can do whatever they want, I suppose. I'm not one to tell them they can't do it, but
yeah, don't boss around a djinn. Jesus Christ.
Dude, I'm not. I totally respect.
That's a fool's errand.
So if it is something paranatural, I mean, shit, I guess we're wide open there. Yeah. Could be anything.
Could be
Angel,
a shapeshifter,
demon,
an ultra-terrestrial. It could be fuck all. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, because of what it's doing, I want to lean more towards it. Either it is an unknown cryptid, some creature that we just don't have a record of for some reason, or it's something misidentified.
That's the problem. It has to be that, because even I would kick myself in the ass if I went too far with the euphanaut theory, just because there's nothing corroborating. So when you see something that shouldn't be there, then you're going to insist it comes from an alien, be it interdimensional or extraterrestrial spacecraft, just because you can't fit it into anything else. That's lazy, but it's also an explanation that's possible, but I loathe it. But on the other hand, as I said earlier, I cannot possibly fathom that this is part of the normal fauna found in the region, because there's just no way. If it's an air breather, as it apparently is, if it's bipedal, if it's this large, there's just no fucking way it's seen twice. No way. Absolutely zero chance.
Just two sightings in that. Well, the gurgle.
Oh yeah.
the
don't forget Grant, Natalie, and Shane's report to Frank O'Neill, who called it the Nessie of Narrabeen, I'm sure, or something to that effect.
Yeah, hopefully those kids got their shit together. But who knows? Hopefully they went to college. Hopefully. I don't know. That is a weird one. The description of what it was doing. That is
I love it.
Bizarre.
I love it because
it's cool. Totally.
Well, it's basically it's a bipedal aardvark. It's not really an elephant thing. I mean, it was described as such, and so that's where we went. But in a lot of ways, so maybe a mangy, sort of deformed kangaroo. That could be bipedal and maybe had an extra long snout. I mean, this is me struggling to be prosaic as much as I usually struggle to be, paranormalistic. But fucking, I'm trying to think of something.
They do have smaller front leg. Their arms or whatever they got, they're small.
It's not hopping though. It's a weird sideways gait, which I really can't see a kangaroo doing. But maybe but it's 1:43 or whatever. It's in the middle of the afternoon, so it's not like it's the angler saw it in a flickering kerosene light. But Johnny and Mabel saw it in the bright of the afternoon, 1:15 p.m., April 3rd, 1968.
Yeah.
So it's just anomalous, and again, it's
weird.
It's like the ape man in that it's so damn brief. There's not much we can do with it.
Yeah.
But, they're manimals. They're fucking ape men and elephant men, though probably more like aardvark men. And honestly, neither one is really much like a man. So, I was struggling even with that, I'll admit. But fuck it. It's a Mystery Bag Monday, and that's part of the mystery. But these things are things that shouldn't be there. The first one, you don't know if it's associated with the UFO, but what the fuck and why is it all bondage geared out? And then the second one, you're like, you don't live there, you son of a bitch, because we would know about you.
What are you doing?
Sydney's not exactly underpopulated, but you're going to show up and then not show up again for 3 years. What do you live under the mud like a fucking locust or a bullfrog in Africa?
Oh, yeah. What if it's hibernating?
Oh, I can't. No, but mammals can't do that. And I'm assuming it's a fucking mammal.
We don't know that, man. Right. What if it ain't a mammal? Oh, shit.
Oh, so it's an insect that looks like an aardvark that pretends to be an elephant that tries to be a man. Nailed it.
Got it. There it is. 2 for 1. 2 for 1 Mystery Bag Monday, baby. Boom. There it is. Bringing it all back together. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Cryptonautpodcast.com. Patreon.com/Cryptonautpodcast. If you want to join our Patreon, you can do it there. Hellerspace.com. Get yourself some totes, tapestries, and shirts, and all kinds of accoutrement to dress yourself up with, because if the kids are going back to school, if that's a thing happening in your area, get them some new gear, get them some stuff, get Graham something, get Pop something, get everyone in your family some Kryptonaut gear, take pictures, put it on Instagram, tag us, we appreciate it, follow us on Twitter, join the Facebook fan group, talk over there, it's awesome.
It is.
Discord's dope, jump on Discord, it's super cool. And that's everything we have to offer right there.
Can we do towels? Because if we can do towels, I want to do a gorilla body with crisscrossing chains.
That would be dope. Towels, unfortunately, like stuffed animals, are not
the fuck. Everything I want to do. Why?
Listen, talk to our sales rep, or talk to our rep over at TeePublic, our buddy Jerry. Talk to him and tell him that Uncle Rob wants towels.
Dude, that's your job. You talk to Jerry, not me.
I asked that about is not pop what I sockets. Do. I went as far as to be like, you guys got pop sockets? Those things you put in the back of your phone, those little pop things. I don't even know if the kids like them anymore.
I don't even know what they are.
Behind.
Shit.
Yeah, they're like those little things you put in the back of your phone. You can pop them out. You can put your phone down, do all kinds of things, whatever. We got apparel. Okay. And there's mugs.
You're right.
That's what we got. Okay. All right. There's mugs and apparel. There you go.
Maybe I'll just draw a gorilla chest with chains and we'll throw it on a mug and we'll be goddamn happy about it.
Put it on a t-shirt. You can do that.
Oh my God. Yeah. A t-shirt would even be better. Yeah. What am I thinking?
Would be even better. There it is.
Who would want that? That's so dumb. Oh God. If you want it, let me know.
Robert, I want you to bring this up in our next marketing meeting, okay? And it's scheduled for next week.
It's hilarious that you pretend we have those. That is delightfully obtuse. Yeah. No, yeah, we're really organized.
Yeah, no, if this episode says anything, is that we are organized and know our He-Man characters well.
Yeah, well, iffy. A little iffy, but Trunkor is a great name.
Yeah, but I knew that it wasn't Trunkor. I had to actually Google Trunkor He-Man, and it came with Snout Spout. I'm like, damn, I knew it was Snout Spout.
Yours was so much better.
Yeah, I know it was, but what are you going to do? Thank you all so very much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
This is the part where I'm alone on the microphone, fucking doing nothing but waiting for Mark. He'll be back soon, and he's gotta call his dad, and he's gotta go pee, and I'm waiting for Mark Drinking a lot and probably shouldn't be. Still pretty sick, but I don't give a fuck. Waiting for Mark. Gonna talk about elephants living in Australia. Walking like men do. I don't know why. That's just what we do. Talking about elephant men and ape men while I'm drinking lots of whiskey and I probably shouldn't be. That's my song.